Hello, everyone. I'm Suzanne Moore, County Librarian.
Mara Lynn Tugman, I'm Adult Services Librarian.
Well, it's August 1st, and we've got lots of good books to talk about, so here we're going to hit you up with some good reads.
Okay, you start.
I'll start going in order, okay? One thing that we always have on the first Saturday of every month is a movie that relates to what the Reading Trap Book Club is discussing. So the Reading Trap Book Club is a Trap Hill branch book club. Anyone can come and join us, but here in the main library we have Keeping It Real, our movie program, and we're keeping it real with P.D. James this Saturday at 1 o'clock in the meeting space. P.D. James is a British author. P.D. stands for Phyllis Dorothy James. So she was kind of going with her initials to remain gender anonymous. We don't want to be prejudged that way. But she is amazing British crime mystery author. I've just discovered her, and I can't put those books down. There's a mini-series about the book we're reading. We're reading a book called, get it, A Taste for Death. Kind of ominous there, and what are we tasting, right? But in this book, this book is actually made into a mini-series. So we're just going to watch maybe one episode, maybe two episodes this Saturday to get your whistle wet.
1 o'clock. Right here.
Right here in the main library. And you'll come to find out about the story. But I'm going to read a little blurb on the mini-series. Gripped in a midlife crisis. Government Minister Sir Paul Bronwyn.
Something like that.
It's a British name.
British name.
He is the very portrait of a man in hell. Okay, his first wife is dead. His second wife is conducting a very public affair with a society doctor. His brother Hugo is dead too, a victim of terrorists. And he is estranged from his daughter, receiving threatening letters. And a member of his staff has just died in a bizarre boating accident. It's little wonder that Sir Paul turns to religion for comfort, but religion brings only horror in the form of a particularly gruesome double murder. I guess that's where they get a taste for death. All this
sounds like a lot of death.
A lot of death. It's true crime. Well, it's not true crime. It's fictional crime, but it's kind of seems like, you know, how those crime stories.
I
like, who did it? What's it?
Perfect for all kinds of storytelling.
That's right. And so
big screen, little screen, bookie wookie.
Right. And the book. Let me show you the cover of the book. There's a straight razor on the cover. So somebody's died by a straight razor. Kind of messy crime scene, right? The story, I'm not going to spoil it because I have only been reading a little bit so far. I got to dig in and finish it before next week. But the very beginning of the story is when the double murder is discovered. And you remember it said here in the miniseries that he turns to religion for comfort. Where do you think the bodies are found?
Church.
Bingo.
Okay, I started to say cemetery, but there's a lot of dead bodies in the cemetery.
Right? These recently dead bodies are discovered in the church. Oh, taste for death. We got to find out the mystery. Who did it? What happened? So I hope you can come out and visit us. If not, I hope I'll pique your interest and you want to pick up this book. There's a series of books about this detective, Adam Daglish. I can't pronounce Daglish. Okay, that's how we say his name. Adam Daglish. He's the detective. If I said his name right, if I didn't. But he's the detective who is in a series of books by this author. It's British mysteries.
So that is next Thursday.
Right. The conversation about the book is next Thursday in the branch library out in Trap Hill. You know, like I said, anybody can make a trip. If you live in the area, you're welcome to come. If you travel far, I have folks that come from Ashe County to join the conversation with this book.
Yeah, so a good excuse to go for a little ride out.
Well, we'll ride out to the country and visit us at noon on August 8th in the branch library. And I'll tell you another thing about the branch library. We call that the Reading Trap Book Club. And the reason they picked P.D. James is we're celebrating her birthday in the month of August. And when we celebrate the author's birthday, when we read the book, we try to like really experience the story by creating some sort of delicious dish, to maybe something that was mentioned in the book that the characters were eating, but we aren't going to eat death. Okay, taste for death. Okay, don't worry, we won't be eating death. But we might be having a little birch tea party. So come join us for tea and conversation about this book, Edie James is Normal. Okay, and I will mention again that the next book, I want you to get yourself ready for August, because again, we're going to be reading a book by the author Michael Frayn. It's a memoir called My Father's Fortune, and he's the one that we'll celebrate in the month of August. So if you want to get a head start, I'm in September. September. Okay. Thank you for catching me.
Edie James is August.
Edie James is August. Michael Frayn is September. Okay. So get a head start.
Okay.
And here's a little blurb about Michael Frayn. Now, he is an English playwright and a novelist. It's another British writer. But he is one of a handful of writers in the English language that can succeed in both drama and prose fiction, and he often raises philosophical questions in a humorous context. So I did a blurb on the book. Again, My Father's Fortune is a memoir. Here he sets out to rediscover the lost land before all traces of it finally disappear beyond recall. You know, like my dad is aging, and I know a lot of people want to see and hear those stories from their family members before they're gone, and you can't talk to them about what their life was like. And so that's what he did when he put this book together. He tries to see through the eyes of his parents and the others who shaped his life. He realizes how little he ever knew or understood about them. But above all, this is a story about his father, and he is, they come from a poor and struggling family. There are lots of disadvantages and burdens, but they still make a go of life, and they find happiness. And in the end, things happened that made it difficult, and things went the wrong way, but then they found happiness again. So we got to find out, you know, all the ins and outs of this journey through time. Sometimes comic, sometimes painful, but he sees how much he inherited from his father, and that makes some surprising discoveries along the way. So the fortune, I don't think it's all about money. It's about what you come to know.
What you treasure. What
you treasure about your family, and what your traits might be that you've inherited from them. And he is going to be the guy in September. August, Edie James, Michael Frayn in September. So get ready for the reading trap, and come and join us this Saturday for the movie. So it's based on Taste for Death.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Now Mara Lynn has got a couple book club ideas coming up.
Okay, so we have we call it the Talking Service Book Club, and it got started because this book came out from the Great Books Foundation. It's called Standing Down, From Warrior to Civilian. And so it's a book club not just for veterans. It's for anybody who has interest in the military or has friends or family that have been in this service. So it's kind of fun. Big, thick book, 40 stories in here, okay, 40 of them. So it's not like we read more than a few pages at a time. This is meant to last. But I do have free copies. So if you're interested in joining up with the Talking Service Book Club, we meet the second Friday of every month here at the library, and at 10 o'clock on that Friday morning. We've got a pretty good little crowd. We've been doing it, November will be 3 years, so we're kind of excited about that. But I mean, some of the best conversation I've ever witnessed, and I dearly love the group that we've got together. But we're taking a little step away from Standing Down, and right at Independence Day this year, which is, a month ago, I was flipping through the New Yorker that we get here at the library, and here is a story by, it's just a couple of pages, the author E.L. Doctorow, and he wrote a short story years ago about the drummer boy on Independence Day, and it's a cool story about a small town, and he actually mentions 2 towns in North Carolina, but the story doesn't happen here. It happens up in Kentucky. But it's about an old, they think he's a Civil War veteran. They keep inviting him to lead the parade on Independence Day, and he's turned them down until he turns 94. And when he's 94, he says, okay. I'll lead the parade. So if you want to find out what happens, come get your story.
And it's a Civil War veteran?
Mm-hmm.
That is so
So
cool.
it's happening in, much later. When
Much
he's
later, he's a veteran, right?
Yeah.
So he's, fought the Civil War, but he survived the war,
Yeah.
and now he's going to be the drummer in the parade.
Or lead the Independence Day parade.
Okay, wonderful. Was he a drummer?
Then he's an old guy.
He was a drummer
boy in the
Civil War.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So and it's a short story, and it's really good. So we're going to talk about that a week from Friday on
And
August the 9th.
And Dr. Rowe.
Yeah, he's
Dr.
pretty
Rowe,
famous.
he's a famous author too.
Yeah.
I'm not
So
remember any of his books off the top of my head, but I know he's a good one.
yeah, there's a little bit about him, and he actually served in Korea. The author did. So he had his own perspective on this.
That's a good selection for veterans then.
Yeah, we try to pick on something. We don't spend a whole lot of time talking about literature and things like that. And the Talking Service Book Club is just about getting together. And all we're looking for is a spark, and then we take it from there.
And from my understanding, it's not only for veterans.
Right, it's for anybody who has any interest at all in the military or has friends or family.
Right, and even if you're active duty or you just wanted to understand more about it.
Or if you're curious,
mm-hmm.
you don't have to have any connection at all to military service in the U.S. Not at all.
It's really fun.
Okay,
come and talk out with us.
Yeah, come. It's been a blessing. It's been pretty wonderful. Okay, next thing coming up for the Library Book Club is on August 20th. We always meet on the third Tuesday of the month at 4 o'clock, and we are talking about Hatchet. And at this point, anybody who's been in middle school has probably come across this book, Gary Paulson. And here's a picture of Gary Paulson, because what he did, this was his first story, and it won a Newbery Medal, or it was an honor book, whatever. But anyway, Gary Paulson writes about the nitty-gritty of kids growing up in the country and everything that can happen. But this is about a kid who is going to visit his father, and something extreme happens, and he has to find a way to survive. And his name's Brian. Well, this first Brian book leads to 4 more Brian books. And it turned out to be so popular back in the 90s that Gary Paulson, the author, he wrote his own story, and he calls it Guts, the true stories behind Hatchet and the Brian books. So Gary Paulson's talking about, and this is the funny thing. He says, I took it easy on Brian. He said, my life was harder than Brian's. And when you read this, you're going to find out it was hard. So anyway, Gary Paulson says, and if we have a lot of people in the book club that might be familiar with lots of books, but I always try to pull in something. This is considered a juvenile or a young adult story, and we always pull one in at least once a year. And this one, our summer reading theme is Adventures Begin at the Library, at your library. So that's why I said biggest adventure I know in a book is Brian,
mm-hmm.
unless it's somebody like Jack Reacher going off to save the world, But it's between these 2 books, if you've read one, you need to read the other. Okay? And then you might find out that you're inspired to read all the rest of the other Brian books, which are very good. But anyway, here, I'll put this. That's Gary Paulson these days. Okay?
Now,
He's
talked
had a
about
good time.
y'all reading this last month, but it was postponed until this month.
We went on a field trip last month.
Tell us about your field trip.
So in May, we read the North Carolina Reads book. It was called Welcome to the Circus of Baseball. And if you watch ESPN regularly, you might have come across an announcer and an analyst from Tennessee and North Carolina. His name's Ryan McGee. He went back, he's older now. He went back in time and he relived his adventures as an Asheville tourist intern. So in the summer of 1994, there was a baseball strike. All the minor leagues were getting lots of good attention. And he talked about that summer and his little adventures in Asheville. It was hilarious. we've got copies of the book. But the book club loved the book, and they said, we need to go on a field trip. We need to go to a minor league baseball game. Well, just so happens this year for the first time, there is a collegiate league that plays in the new baseball field beside the VFW post. And they call it Patriot Park. They've got a 10-year agreement. So this was the first year of a new team called the Wilkes County Moonshiners, okay? We got us our moonshiners.
We got the moonshiners
Yes.
going on, yeah.
Well, so we went on our book club night, and we had a ball. There were 10 of us. I think we could have had some more, but it had been so hot, and people were not coming because they thought they'll just sit there and roast. But it turned out to be a beautiful night. We dodged a thunderstorm. The kids playing ball there, they age from, I think, about 19. There might be a couple of 18-year-olds up to 23, and most of them are college students. And let me tell you, I saw some 90-mile-an-hour fastballs in there. And I didn't make a judgment call. I let them.
I saw a white suit turn clay red when he slid in. Right, like he was going.
Yeah. So the team is coached by the West Wilkes baseball coach Drew Ward, and there's a lot of local flavor. But the kids are playing. So the season has already ended because they've got time to go home, do what they got to do, and then show up for college by probably the middle of this month. Now that it's August.
Well, they'll be back next year.
They're going to be back next year.
So last month, when you were going to read Hatchet and talk about Hatchet, you guys went to sit on the field trip. So that's why we're doing Hatchet again.
Yeah, we thought about it.
And that gives you more time to read more of the Brian books.
Yeah. When I realized that about half the book club might not have come to the ball game, then I said, well, I don't want to give Brian a short, he needs to be talked about.
Definitely.
Okay, so it's worth coming for. August the 20th, we're going to talk about Gary Paulson and Brian at 4 o'clock.
At 4 o'clock here. And now you were talking about field trips. So I have a field trip book too. School starting up. That's one of the funnest things about going to school is taking a trip with your class. So this is a field trip to the ocean deep. It's in the children's book. And it's,
I didn't bring my shark.
Oh,
the ocean deep. I love sharks.
Well, I haven't looked at this, but it's a wordless story, right? So you can
cool.
make up your own commentary about what these children are locating down below. Imagine taking a bunch of kids down below the ocean on a field trip. That would be a crazy story. But think about it in school. School's coming up, and field trips are just around the corner for the little ones, too.
Yeah, you still got a chance to pick anything you want to read right here.
That's correct. We wanted to highlight a few children's books, and I thought this one was really awesome. I can see all the little kids getting ready to go on board and then dive down below, and who knows what's going to happen.
That's
and then here's another book for y'all. This is another new children's book, and it's called Moo. It's not a Highland cow, but we are bringing some Highland cows or a cow here to visit us in person at the library this month. That'll be on August 15th. I'm sure the time for that it's
afternoon.
In the afternoon. So check the calendar.
So keep that afternoon open.
Keep your afternoon open on August the 15th, which is also on a Thursday. Okay. I feel like it's a Thursday.
Okay.
We're looking at the calendar. It is
We'll correct ourselves here in a minute.
Yeah, it is Thursday.
Hey, Suzanne, what do you call a short cow? Condensed milk.
Condensed milk? Oh my gosh.
Sorry, I couldn't resist.
That's so cute.
That one walked through the door last week. So.
Oh, well, we got some cow stories and some field trip stories. We got all kinds of stories.
Okay, another possible field trip. Okay, because we had a program here at the library in Wilkes County called Wilkes Reads Together, and we did that for several years. It was 6 or 7 years. In 2011. We had an author visit us. You can't make this out. His name's Ron Rash. He wrote a book called Saints at the River, and it was our community read in 2011. Well, he's going to be here next Tuesday, August the 6th. I said here, and I shouldn't have said here.
Here in our county.
He's going to be here in Wilkes, but he'll be at the Heritage Museum at 6 o'clock next Tuesday. he is still very actively writing. He's got a new book called The Caretaker. And so the Heritage Museum has copies. He's going to be here next Tuesday. Buy a copy from him or the museum. Get him to sign it for you.
Oh my gosh,
He's
good.
really great.
You may have read or seen his book Serena on the big screen.
Yeah.
That's another story for you. But
Yeah.
Ron Rash is really a great writer. I'm really excited to meet him.
Yeah. And then the other thing is our September book for book club. I think we're going to read The World Made Straight, which is a story about a kid who stumbles across a great big field of a secret field of marijuana. Okay. That's possibly could have happened in Wilkes County.
Probably.
Actually.
I think it actually did. If you read the paper this week.
Oh, yes.
There was a story about a 1980s marijuana bust here in our county.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how he got the idea for this book.
Well, who knows?
We don't know. We'll have to find out. We'll talk to him about that next Tuesday night, right?
But he loves to write about things that we tend to be interested in.
He's from nearby in Virginia, right? Virginia. Just over the state line.
His house is from Kentucky.
Right.
Okay.
So check out Ron Rash. Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm glad
we got a shelf full of Ron Rash, and you can't go wrong. You just can't.
Yeah.
And I got one more thing to tell you about. There is a special. Look at this. This is a book. This is a big book.
You might be in this
beautiful
book. You might be in that book.
And what it is, this one's from 1990. The Wilkes Genealogical Society has a collection here, and they provide a lot of good service for people that are looking up their family stories, their family history, want to know who their ancestors are. But this is a book. This was this volume 2 book that came out about 5 years after the first one. This one we have overstock in. I say we being the Genealogy Society. So it's a beautiful book. You could come and see if you're in it before you make the plunge. But if you were to join the Wilkes Genealogical Society for $25, then this is only $10. So for $35, you can be a member. You don't have to be active, but you can get some help if you're interested in finding out who your ancestors are, okay? But just know that we've got an overstock on these books. We're selling them for $10 if you join.
And even if your family is not from our county, we can still help you find out who your ancestors are.
That's right.
So come and visit with us.
Libraries, public libraries are pretty famous for having access to Ancestry.com, only it's the library edition of it. You have access to everything. All those commercials tell you that you can find. It's just that you can't do a save on your own family here at the library, but you can see everything. And not only that, but we are an affiliated library for Family Search, and that is the Church of Latter-day Saints in Utah. They have great family collection information. So between the two of them and the books on the shelf and the newsletters and everything that's over there, you might get lucky. I think you might find something that you didn't know about your family in the past.
It is very true. You might find out something you didn't know. I was so shocked to find out backstories on my family from the Civil War days, so check it out. Visit with us, and we hope you have fun reading this summer with us. The summer reading program is still going on for a few more weeks.
Yeah, and we're not going to say that S word, school.
Oh, I thought summer was the S word. No.
Summer's a great S word. Oh, sorry. I should have clarified. But it's several weeks till school, and please come see us. In a few minutes, Amazing Al's going to be on the stage.
Well,
so we're not done yet. We're having fun this summer. So don't call it short just yet.
Y'all have a great time, and we'll look for you here at the library. Okay. Stop by and visit us and join us in reading and talking about great books.
Yes.
Taste for Death coming up.
All righty. Thank you.